She had kissed Draco Malfoy. Draco bloody Malfoy. Her heart was thudding faster than the wings of a snitch, and her brain was all fuzzy. She continued down multiple hallways and corridors until she reached ancient rooms. Just in time, she thought, hoping her favorite class would distract her. She pulled out her things as the professor started the lesson, but for the first time in her life, Hermione was unable to concentrate. Her mind kept reminding her of the kiss that she had shared with the Slytherin prince. That only led to more distractions. He had kissed her back, so did he enjoy it? Were the rumors true? Did he live up to his reputation? What would Harry and Ron think? Was Malfoy's mind racing as much as hers? Did you hear what Granger did? Hermione's ears perked when she heard her name. What? Another one of her classmates whispered. Hermione pretended as if she didn't notice but kept listening. She snuck Malfoy in the middle of left wing. Hermione's cheeks went red as she felt eyes on her. What in Godric's name have I done? Chapter 3. Reactions. Pansy was mad. Scratch that. She was absolutely and positively pissed. Not only did she miss her chance with Draco, but the mudblood had swooped in and stolen her kiss. Pulling out her wand, she hexed the Slytherin common room, which was now empty. So much time, effort, and thought went into her plan for nothing. She growled in frustration, Reducto! Hermione sat at the Gryffindor table in the Great Hall, ignoring the weird looks. Yes, she had kissed Draco Malfoy, but only to get to class on time. That's how she summed it up, at least. And if people weren't bright enough to understand that, then there was nothing she could do. Ginny, who sat across from her, kept giving her subtle glances for the last 10 minutes, and Hermione had had enough. She didn't need her best friend making a big deal out of the incident either. All right, Ginny, spit it out. The girl wasted no time. You kissed Malfoy? Yes, Hermione answered. Why? Your brother's idiotic new contraption trapped us, and I was going to be late for class. Ginny paused for a second to think. Was he any good? At this point, Hermione couldn't help the tint of red that colored her cheeks. I don't know, it was only for a second, Hermione said quietly. Would you do it again? The redhead replied. Ginny! What? I would if I didn't have Harry. She looked left and right to make sure no one was listening, then whispered, He is one handsome beast, and if the rumors about what he could do in the sack are true, I definitely would put the headrooms to good use. Merlin, Ginny, you're worse than a teenage boy. Hermione's voice came out muffled because she had buried her head in her arms. She had forgotten all about the fact that they shared a common room. Sooner or later she would have to see him, and that was the last thing she wanted to do. The Weasley chuckled. Hello, Hermione, a dreamy voice announced, sitting down next to her. Luna had joined them, and judging by the devious look behind her eyes, Hermione doubted this conversation would be pleasant. Hermione looked up and wondered what she did to deserve this. Oh yeah, she kissed Malfoy. I just knew you and Draco would get together, said the barefooted blonde. Hermione, who knew better than correct Luna, asked, How? Because of the lusting Luddles, of course. Ginny and Hermione shared a look. A lusting Luddle? Ginny asked. Yes, they're large invisible creatures who cause unneeded sexual tension between two people. They don't leave until their victims' hormones go out of control. You've never heard of them? Hermione dropped her head back down, while Ginny let out an amused laugh. Luna, who thought Hermione was upset about the effect of the Luddle, continued. Don't worry, Hermione. According to all the rumors, I'm sure Draco is great in bed. You'll have nothing to worry about. Merlin, kill me now, Hermione thought as her two friends continued giggling. Draco sat at the Slytherin table next to Blaise and Theo. So you and Granger, eh? Blaise started, while Theo muttered, About time. Draco's glare had no effect. There's no me and Granger. We just did what we had to do in order to escape that bloody trap. Sure, I was wondering when you would make a move, since you've been obsessing over her since 6th grade, Blaze smirked as Draco's scowl deepened. I wasn't obsessing over anything, Draco denied. He might have found Granger intriguing, but he didn't obsess over her. I think he's in denial, Theo whispered loudly. Shut it, you wanker. I don't care what you think, Draco snapped. He did not want to deal with his ridiculous so-called best mates right now. He already had enough on his mind, like his nudes, his father's letter, which laid crumble in his pants pocket, and that kiss. The last thing he wanted was to deal with was their teasing. He looked around the great hall, glaring at anyone who dared to meet his gaze. He wasn't in the best mood after the mail came, and Blaze and Theo's teasing wasn't making anything better. He, against his own conscious will, glanced over at the Gryffindor table and automatically spotted her. Her head was buried in her arms, while Looney and Weasley laughed at her misfortune. Her head shot up as she gave the redhead a confused look, then glanced over at him. Her eyes met his, and a blush crept over her face. He smirked and winked at her, causing her to drop her head once more. Why did he do it? He had no idea. "Aw, they're flirting," Theo laughed while Blaze made kissing sounds. Draco growled. "I wonder if anyone would notice if those two vanished," he thought, as his two best mates continued laughing. Hermione figured that things couldn't get any worse. She was wrong. She knew it when she saw Ron and Harry rush towards her, Ginny, and Luna. Why me, she wondered, as guilt and dread consumed her. Seeing the look on Harry's face made her feel as if she betrayed him. Ron was the first to speak. His face was red, his eyes in narrow slits. "You snogged Malfoy? Blimey, Hermione, what the bloody hell is wrong with you?" "Ron," Harry tried, but Hermione cut him off. "I didn't snog him. It was a small kiss to escape George's ridiculous contraption." She was hurt that he would even suggest such a thing. He didn't even let her explain. "Hermione," Harry tried again, only to be interrupted by Ron. "That's not what I heard." "Guys," Harry spoke up, but the two yelled, "Stay out of it, Harry," before continuing. "Well, maybe you should get your information from the source and not your gossiping bimbo girlfriend," Hermione shot back. "Is that what it's all about? I choose Lavender over you, so you move on to the ferret? If this is some plan to get me back, Hermione, it's not working." He saw the pained expression that crossed her face after he said that. He almost felt guilty. Almost. But he wanted to make sure this message got through. Hermione looked appalled. How dare he even suggest that? She'd admit that she used to have a crush on him, and seeing him choose Lavender over her after the war had hurt. But she was over it now and realized that they were better off as friends. To hold that over her head was a new time low. "Sod off, Ron. Not everything is about you," she yelled, tears threatening to escape. But before they could, she turned around and stormed out of the great hall and into the library, where she could cry without being judged. Draco watched as Ron's insinuation broke her. The entire great hall had gone quiet as everyone listened in on what she would say. "Sod off, Ron. Not everything is about you," she had yelled before leaving the great hall. "Go after her," a small part of Draco's mind told him. After much debating and internal conflict, he decided to follow. He ignored the knowing smirks that were plastered on Blaze's face.